From dropping anti-Semitic slurs on stream and losing it all, to an NBA comeback that's left an entire fan base divided, here's how Meyers Leonard is returning to the NBA after a 2-year hiatus. In today's world, it's not uncommon for athletes to try and expand their influence among fans, using platforms like Twitch and YouTube to show a bit of their lives off the court. NBA center for the Miami Heat, Meyers Leonard, is no exception. But in March of 2021, during a Call of Duty livestream, Meyers gave viewers some insight into his personality, which ended up costing him everything. During the livestream, Meyers called another Call of Duty player a effing KB. Meyers shot a bigger airball while streaming than he could ever shoot on an NBA court. After dropping the vile slur, Leonard shortly rushed off his stream. Not surprisingly, after the clip surfaced on the internet, the media went into a frenzy. And considering the NBA is one of the most progressive sports leagues, letting Leonard go without punishment would be a bad look. Leonard's actions off the court did not go unnoticed, and he'd soon suffer the consequences on the court. He was fined $50,000 by the NBA for his comments.
Investigation into the anti-Semitic slur that Meyers Leonard of the Heat uttered during a recent video game that was live streamed. I'm sure many people have not.
But as it turns out, the Miami Heat had plans of their own for Meyers. Within days of the comments, Leonard was off the Heat's roster and found a new team to call home. Based on Miami's response, it's clear that they felt a $50,000 fine wasn't nearly enough. Leonard was traded to Oklahoma City Thunder, and he needed to repair his tarnished reputation. Leonard's change of scenery, however, would be short-lived. Almost immediately, he was waived by the Thunder, so he decided his best shot at redemption was to jump on social media and leave a heartfelt message. Trying to save face, Leonard claimed to have no idea what the word he said actually meant. Right. File that one under lamest excuses ever. Leonard's bizarre message raised eyebrows among fans and the media alike, since the derogatory phrase is rarely used or heard in the 21st century. This left fans divided. Was Leonard's claim of ignorance acceptable? Or was he simply saying all of this because he'd been caught? Myself and many fans felt it was the latter. And from that point forward, nobody wanted much to do with the guy. Leonard was in crisis mode, and he needed the fans back on his side. But his comments also came at a bad time for him health-wise. Needing shoulder surgery, Leonard was going to need time off. And it never got easier for him after that, facing multiple additional injuries to his shoulder again and his ankles. Plus, there was a myriad of other complications keeping him away. And you probably haven't heard from or seen much of him until now. Leonard had a choice. He could ride off into the anti-Semitic sunset, or he could try and figure out what would make him do such a thing. So, during Leonard's extended absence from the NBA, he said it was time to work on himself. But all that time off may not have been the best thing for his image. There was little exposure for Leonard, so his comments were left to simmer on the fans' minds. But Leonard wouldn't just forget about what he said. In an attempt to learn about the culture he so carelessly slandered, he spent a good portion of his rehabilitation working with Jewish organizations. But what many fans and potential teammates are wondering is, did Leonard learn anything? In a time where the line between charity and reality is blurred to the maximum, it's not much for a celebrity to take a few pictures and videos surrounded by the culture they trashed and hope everything's okay and in the past. The real questions were whether or not Leonard had learned anything. Or was he a different person than the one who made the live stream? And the only person who could answer that question was Leonard himself. After 2 long years, Leonard was finally ready to return. But people weren't wondering whether Leonard still had the game in him. They were wondering if the game even needed him. Not surprisingly, fans were conflicted. And this conflict was amped up even more when Leonard was given a 10-day contract to the former champions, the Milwaukee Bucks.
Gotta play him because he's dangerous. He can score. Meyers Leonard.
Should a player who openly stated anti-Semitic remarks be playing in the NBA at all, let alone on the defending champions team? For the Milwaukee Bucks, what could this bring to their franchise? With a potential future face of the NBA in Giannis Antetokounmpo and a shot of being a premier franchise in the league, something Milwaukee hasn't had since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the 1970s, Was Meyers Leonard really worth all the risk and controversy? For many fans, that's a no. To the dismay of NBA fans around the world, the higher-ups in the Bucks franchise see Leonard as an all-gain, no-loss opportunity. They see Meyers as a good player from a former championship-contending team and someone who has been a consistent backup center. It seems the Bucks are using this situation to their advantage, seizing a decent talent nobody wants and paying Leonard the league minimum. For the Bucks, in terms of dollars and cents, it's a steal. But is all of this worth it? In a city that's faced multiple tragedies due to racial issues, does the city of Milwaukee really want someone like Leonard representing them? Leonard's proven to be a liability. The risk the Bucks are taking on him is astounding. Throughout the rest of the 2022-2023 season, the Bucks are going to have a target on their back. If they're successful throughout the season with Leonard on their team, the Bucks could be seen as a savvy team who used everything possible to bring another championship to Milwaukee. But would the fan base put an asterisk next to their team and label them as uncaring about the plight of other cultures? With all of the negativity surrounding Leonard's name, the question must be asked: is there not someone else just as qualified as Leonard who doesn't carry the same baggage? Another thing fans are anxious to figure out is, will the inclusion of Leonard affect the Bucks' locker room? The Bucks are a close-knit team known for player loyalty, and they aren't just loyal to their jersey. It extends to the lovely city they play for. As recent as the 2021 NBA playoffs, Giannis and the Bucks nearly forfeited outright due to the Black Lives Matter protests.
We're saying that.
So how would a team with many of the same faces feel about Leonard joining their locker room with his checkered past? Many fans don't think this is worth the risk. Hopefully, the fact that Leonard's working exclusively on 10-day contracts puts their mind at ease. So if anything were to go wrong, the Bucks could easily waive him and forget about the whole situation. Leonard's only on his second 10-day contract, and we can only wait and see what comes of this situation. With the re-signing of Meyers Leonard to the NBA, does it set a precedent going forward? Will athletes simply be able to do and say what they want regardless of who they hurt and continue making millions of dollars? If you ask someone who's been impacted by anti-Semitic remarks or actions, they'd probably say Leonard's resigning is a bad look for the NBA. So, from dropping anti-Semitic slurs on stream and losing it all,
and most importantly, is to say sorry.
To an NBA comeback that's left an entire fan base divided.
The truth is, let's just cut to it, I made a really big mistake, the biggest mistake of my life, and
that's how Meyers Leonard's returning to the NBA after a 2-year hiatus.